In this two-part video series, I'm going to demonstrate how you can make a custom PowerPoint presentation containing map data using ArcGIS Pro, and then use that PowerPoint to make custom maps entirely within PowerPoint using PowerPoint's familiar formatting tools. In this first video, we're actually going to start in reverse and look at the map layers PowerPoint that was created with ArcGIS Pro. After going through some general methods, I'll actually demo how you can make the three maps shown here entirely within PowerPoint. If you're primarily interested in working in PowerPoint and someone has sent you a PowerPoint presentation with the map layers you need, you probably only need to watch this video. If you're a GIS person and you want to make a map layers PowerPoint for your organization or project, so that your non-GIS colleagues can make basic maps on their own, you should also watch part 2, where I'll talk about how to export layers from an ArcGIS Pro project into editable shapes in PowerPoint. Here's an overview of how it works on the PowerPoint side. So essentially, each map layer has been placed on its own slide. Furthermore, and importantly, the GIS features have been converted into standard PowerPoint shapes so that you can use PowerPoint's formatting tools to edit them. To make a map, generally you would create a new slide, copy paste the layers that you want in your map onto that slide, and they should line up, then customize them as needed using the formatting tools. And then when you're all done, group all the shapes together. If needed, resize them, and then copy paste them into your presentation. There are a few standard PowerPoint techniques that will be generically helpful when making a map, which I'll go through next. You'll definitely need to copy paste layers between slides. What we're seeing here is one of these PowerPoint files with map data that's been built with ArcGIS Pro. This specific presentation has map layers to help people working for UC Ag and Natural Resources make maps of the ANR network in California. I'll add a link to this PowerPoint file in the description, but I should also say that the techniques that we're going to look at and use are very generic and would definitely work for other map layer PowerPoints if they've been exported to PowerPoint, as I'm going to describe in part 2. So as you can see here, this PowerPoint file has slides for the state boundary, the counties, our county offices, our recs, which are field stations, and then 8 of the 10 campuses. So these are all point layers. We've got some labels, and then we have some images that can be used as base maps in the maps that we're going to build. So to create a new map, the first thing I'm going to do is insert a new blank slide. I'm doing it here. I could do it in another presentation. And then go to the slides and copy with Control-C the shapes that I want to have in my map. So I copy the state boundary, paste it in there. Note with point layers, you have to click on one of the dots, right? Because they're vectors. And then paste it in to the map that lands right on top. Next, let me grab one of the campus layers. There's 2 of them. I'll use the one with the little yellow squares. So these are standard PowerPoint shapes. I click on one of the yellow dots to select it, copy, paste. While I have it selected, I can go ahead and do a little formatting, such as changing the fill color from yellow to purple. Next, let me grab a image for my base map. So I'll grab this topo map, which is kind of light, paste it in. Now, of course, it lands on top, so I have to send it to the back of the stacking order to get it to show up. So now, basically, we've created a basic map, which is almost ready to go. Another skill you'll probably want to use at some point is selecting shapes within a group. This is useful because when you copy paste these layers, the layers are grouped PowerPoint shapes, which is handy if you want to change the color of all of them at once. But sometimes you do need to select shapes within a group. So this is easy to do. And basically the process is you select once to get the whole group, and then keep clicking to select individual shapes. You can hold Shift down to select multiple shapes, multiple individual shapes from within the group, and then you can change them all at one go. So this is really easy to do. Something else you'll probably want to do is resize shapes in place. So in other words, make the points bigger or smaller, but not change their location. And the process for doing this is you select the shapes, but then we're going to have to ungroup them. So first of all, let me select the triangles here. Sometimes it's hard to know if you've got the right thing, so you can just move them to the side and then Control Z to undo that. To resize them in place, you do have to ungroup them. So that's next. Simply select the ungroup command. And now there's some keyboard shortcuts you can use. Shift and then up arrow or down arrow will make them change their size, but in place. You can change the color while we're at it. And you probably is a good idea to group them again when you're done with this, so that they'll be easy to select and work with next time. Another technique you'll probably want to use is to delete shapes from a group, right? So sometimes you don't want all of the shapes in your map. So the technique here is going to be, again, start by selecting them all. I'll click on this layer of our county offices, verify that I've got the right one by moving it to the side. And then in this case, I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want to make sure there's a lot of them and they're small and I want to grab the right ones. So I'm going to zoom in to the south of our state. Now ungroup the blue dots. And now I want to deselect the ones that I'm going to keep. So by holding the Shift key down, I can deselect the active selection. So the points that I'm clicking on are no longer selected. And then I can just hit the Delete key and nuke all the other ones. So what I'm left here are just the ones that I want to keep, and then I can use a marquee selection to select the ones and then group those again. So now I've basically deleted all but a few of the shapes. Another handy technique is to change the shapes, and this is easy to do. Again, you're going to have to select the group of shapes and then either select individual shapes or you could ungroup them. And then to change these squares into something else, if I go to the shape format ribbon and then the edit shape tool, there's a command where I can change the shape into another preset. So I could change these squares into, for example, stars. And then while I have them selected, I could change the color. I could flip them vertically. Another way that you can resize shapes in place is to grab the corner handle and then hold down Control and Shift as you're resizing them, and they'll stay in place. And basically, you've now, we've changed some of the points into another symbol. Finally, you probably, at the end of your map design, will want to get this map that you've designed into another slide deck. So to do that, the general process will be to select all the shapes, and you can draw a marquee selection using the drag around to select all of them, and then just group them together so that when you resize them, they will all be resized together. And this generally will also resize the outlines appropriately. The one thing you may have to manually change after you've resized it are fonts, although in this example we don't have any labels. But if I did have labels, I would probably have to select those labels and then reduce the font, because resizing text boxes does not resize the font itself. So a couple tips for making maps in PowerPoint that are general map making tips. PowerPoint, it is a presentation format, so keep it simple. Think about how your audience is going to be viewing your map. Particularly if it's in an in-person environment, small details get lost, right? So keep it simple. I would say recommend at most 4 or 5 layers. It'll depend on how many features are in each layer. But when you start getting more than 4 or 5 layers, start thinking about making a second map. That's probably going to be too much for your audience to absorb. Use color to highlight what you want to draw attention to. If you do want to put a base map in, such as a topography map or county boundaries or something like that, keep it simple. That's probably not what you want to draw attention to. And again, PowerPoint is a limited format, or presentations are a limited format. And then avoid small details and small fonts. These are general good practices for designing figures in presentations, and they apply to maps as well. Okay, next, let's actually build a couple maps. So here's an example of a map that we commonly see in A&R presentations. And if you take a closer look, we have the counties that have a yellow fill and white boundaries, so that's easy to do. The county offices are little red dots without labels. The field stations are stars. And then the campuses are these little hat symbols. Probably going to leave out the labels for right now, but we could certainly put those in if we want. So let's go ahead and build this. So here I am in that presentation with the map layers. So to build this map, the first thing I'm going to do is insert a new slide. Normally I would insert a new slide in another PowerPoint deck, but I'll just put it here for convenience. And then I don't need a layout for this new slide, so I'm just going to choose blank because we're just using it to put together a map. And the first layer I will add here will be the county boundaries. So I'll go ahead and paste those in. Since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and apply some of the symbology. And we need to change the color of the counties to yellow. So I'll go to Shape Fill, and then go to more fill colors, and then the custom here. And then I have a specific color code that I'm trying to match here. So I'll paste that into the hex window. Otherwise, you could just pick colors the way you normally would. And then we want the outlines of the counties to be white. And then probably the thickness of the outlines, I think 3/4 of a point should work. So we've got the first layer ready to go. Next, let me copy the county offices, or UC Cooperative Extension offices. So I copy those to the clipboard and then paste those onto my map. Let's see, these are supposed to be red. So I'll go ahead and select a darkish red color for those. And that seems like that should work. Next, let me grab the field stations, which are these recs, and I have them here. I click on one of the shapes to select the group and then copy, paste it onto the map. So these are supposed to be blue stars instead of purple triangles. So to convert them to stars, the first thing I should do is ungroup them, because now that they're ungrouped, I can go to the shape format ribbon and then the edit shape command and change these to stars. Where are the stars? Here we go. This is the stars. And then let me go ahead, and since I'm here, I can use Shift up arrow to resize them in place. And then I should probably flip them as well. So I think that's going to be under here. Flip vertical. That looks pretty good. And then let me make them blue. So that's going to be the shape fill. Give it kind of a dark blue. And then also maybe give them a white outline and make that a little bit bigger. Okay, that looks okay. Finally, let's go ahead and bring in the campuses. And for this one, I'm going to use the character symbols. I'll show you in the next video how you can export a point layer with character symbols and then paste those in here. And then my design goals are to make these purple. So I'll select purple. And again, I want to resize them in place, make them a little bit bigger. So I'll go ahead and ungroup them. And then here I'll zoom in and make them all bigger by grabbing one of the corner handles and then holding Shift and Control down as I make them a little bit bigger. And then before I do anything else, I should group them. So, yep, we've basically I have not added the labels here, but could do that using standard labeling tools, or there is actually a label layer that I could copy paste. Just see how that looks. Copy that. Hopefully these will all line up for the campuses at least. And yes, they do a pretty good job. This is the next map we're going to build. And as you can see, this map highlights 4 counties of the state, which are the Central Sierra region. So these include Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, and El Dorado counties, as well as their offices in those counties. And then everything else is a little bit grayed out. So this is a map that uses color to highlight a specific region. This could be a reference map, for example, in a presentation or a proposal. So to build this map, let's go ahead and go back to our presentation that we were working, our PowerPoint deck that has this map data. Insert a new slide as we did before. Select a blank layout as we did before. So to build this map, I need the counties. So I shall select those, copy and paste them. And then I need the offices. I will select those, copy them, and paste them in. Now, because I know this is going to be a regional map, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit. I think it's going to help me select things. So the first thing to do will be to select the 4 counties. So I know that if I select once, I've got the whole group of county polygons. If I select the second time, I can get an individual polygon within that group. And then if I hold shift down, I can select additional polygons or shapes. So now I've selected the 4 counties from within the group, and I can go ahead and give those a light purple fill, which is what I'm trying to match. That looks good. For the county offices, I actually need to make the offices in the 4 counties dark purple and everything else grayed out. So to do that, really what I want to do is make these 2 groups, right? So I select once to select all of the counties, and now I'm going to ungroup them, right? So I'm going to ungroup them. And next I'm going to hold shift and click to deselect the offices in the 4 counties. Hopefully I got all of them. And now I will I'll regroup the other ones, right? So hopefully I've regrouped all of the other ones and I can see if I got them right. Yep, that looks good. Control Z to undo that. I'll go ahead and turn to maybe a medium gray, the county offices I don't want to highlight, and then manually select the counties that I want to cover. This is being a little bit stubborn. Let me zoom in a little bit further. All right, so if you control and use your mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out. I've got those selected. Let me go ahead and group them and then give them a dark purple fill. And then the last thing in my map design is simply to put a little call out there, so I can go to the insert ribbon, and then that's going to be under shapes, and then it's going to be one of these call outs. I'm not quite sure which one I need to use. I'll just use this one, and then just go ahead and, as I normally would, double click in there, type UCCE Central Sierra, and then highlight all that. And then I'm going to use, go to the format here, make that a lot smaller, and then give it a purple, light purple fill, and then give the call out as a whole a dark fill to kind of match, and then maybe give the shape outline also maybe black. Anyway, you can certainly tidy it up, but that's the essence of it. All right. Okay, so that's map number 2. Map number 3 is this one, basically the same. The only difference is that we have a legend to add, right? And again, we're going to use a base map here. So to go back to build this one, let's go ahead and insert another new slide. All right. As we did before, give it blank. And then for this one, we don't need the county boundaries. All we really need are going to be the, we're going to need the state boundary, which is here. Whoops, what did I do? I got the wrong thing. Let's try this again. Control C, Control V. I'll go ahead and send that to the back. We don't want it to cover up any of the layers. And then we'll go ahead and get the recs. Copy C. And then finally the campuses. We'll just go with the default here, the yellows. And then finally a graphic for the base map. So I'll select this topo with hillshade, paste it on my new map, and then send it to the back. So to create the legend, what I could do here is select one of the individual shapes. So here I've selected one of the triangles that represent field stations, and it's still within the group, but I can go ahead and hit Control C to copy it, and then Control V to copy it, to make a copy of it. So this is a trick for making a legend. You don't have to redraw these shapes from scratch. Just select one and then use copy paste to select it in there. All right. And then from here, you would do what you would normally do to make a text box. So we just go to Insert, Text Box, draw the text box here. And then make it a little bit smaller. So we'll call this Field Stations, UCC Offices, and Campuses. And then to get the dots, I would manually move these into location and then resize them, right? So I can, again, if you hold Shift and Control, they will resize in place. All right, so that's pretty close. All right, so you've seen now 3 examples of actually making maps. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this encourages you to make your own maps in PowerPoint. And I hope this encouraged you, if you're a GIS person, to watch the next video where I'll show you how to actually create this presentation with all the map layers. So see you in the next video.